Hello and welcome for your time today. Thank you for joining us for the investor informational meeting. I am going to go ahead and get started with this. For those of you that were on the call earlier, you know we had some technical difficulties, but I wanted to be able to share the information with you and still have the information provided as though you were in the meeting. So just wanted to give you a little background about Legacy Investments Group of Florida and how we got started. And the main reason was to basically create a path to financial independence and freedom. You have so many individuals that are looking for ways to generate passive income, and we found that this group was a way to be able to do that to help us reach our financial goals. So, like I said before, you have a lot of individuals that are not earning passive income, so they're working harder on a day-to-day basis. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They're also maybe getting closer to retirement age and realizing that they don't have enough funds to be able to retire comfortably. There's individuals that they may have working adults in the home, but they're not able to save any money. So they have little to no savings. And so for those that have been able to put aside some money, they may not have enough reserves in their accounts to be able to sustain them in an emergency situation beyond maybe 1 to 3 months. And so those are all valid concerns and reasons why I know individuals are looking for options to be able to passively invest. So we started the group as a solution to that need. And in our first phase, we chose to focus on flipping homes. Now we have we had a number of individuals, about 12 individuals, that pooled their money together to be able to put down payment and closing costs on a property so that it could be renovated and then resold. And so our goal for the phase one was to really get started, develop our infrastructure, make sure that things were in place, and successfully complete at least 1 to 2 flips within that time period. So just some clarification, this is not crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, it's not a pyramid scheme. We're not a real estate investment trust. The major difference between our group and these that are listed on the screen is that, we are a group of family and friends that have decided to come together. For the most part, we know each other. All of you know myself. And so it's a more intimate situation. You have a little bit more say so in regards to some of the decisions that are made and how your investment funds are being used. And so I pride myself in being someone who is very honest and straightforward. So there's a level of transparency here that you may not get with participating some of these other investment opportunities. Now, just a little bit of background about myself. For those of you who do not know, I am educated through Florida A&M University. I have a bachelor's degree in management. I have 2 master's degrees, one in business administration and marketing, the other in accounting and taxation specifically, that I earned from Purdue University Global. And so I've been able to take that knowledge, as well as being a real estate agent for the past 3 years, working with different organizations to be able to bring those skills to the table and serve not only as the group realtor, but as the business manager, managing member, and advisor as well in that capacity. Some of the partners that we worked with, of course, Keller Williams Tampa Properties is my brokerage for real estate, and my organization that I do business through is Richards Kelly LLC. So we partnered together with Keller Williams as well as the Legacy Investments Group to be able to do these real estate investment opportunities. I also have a few other partners, such as Guild Mortgage, who helps to advise us on financial matters as it pertains to the current market. Our our hard money lender is Coastal Equity Group. Our inspector is Florida Certified Inspectors, and they're able to go to the Tri-County area, sometimes even beyond if we desire. We also partner with Star Title Partners, who is affiliated with my current brokerage, KW Tampa Properties. And then newly added to the group is A&M Contracting, which is our general contractor, Matt Zaster, who will be advising us on all things construction related. So any structure changes, any requirements, things of that nature, walking through properties to do the renovations, he will help to guide us in that area and point out those things that we should be aware of from a general contracting standpoint. Now, individual requirements, very straightforward. You have to know someone in the group through family or friendship. You need to be able to sign all the required documents, which are the silent partnership agreement and the IRS W-9 form. The minimum investment amount is 1,000. You can do more than that if you'd like. You need to be able to invest that amount for the remainder of this year. Normally it's a year period, but we are getting started a little bit later. If we're in the midst of a project, when that year ends, then it will be through the end of that project, and then just be available for any voting decisions, whether they're sent through email or through text message, to be able to vote on the current task at hand. So those are the requirements, pretty straightforward, but if you have any questions about that, please feel free to let me know. Now, what are some next steps? So we're having the meeting today. For those of you that will be continuing on with the group, either as a new member or existing member, your communication needs to be received by April 17th. So specifically new members, you would need to have signed all your paperwork and funded your investment by next week, Wednesday, April the 17th. For existing members, you would need to have responded to the communication indicating whether or not you want to have your profits pulled from the group, or whether you want to apply those profits towards your investment contribution for the next project. Okay, and then after that, being able to review our online platform, we're in the process of setting that up so that you can have access to see updates, review our cap table, which is the table that shows who the investors are and what their equity shares are for the particular project. And then any other updates that will need to be done will be through that online platform as well. And then respond promptly to any voting decisions that may be necessary at the time. Now, in terms of our timeline for last year, just so you kind of know how it worked, the group was presented information, or family and friends was presented information to be able to join towards the beginning of February. The group was actually established and funded at the end of February, and then we had some search time to be able to find our first property. We found it, went under contract at the end of March, and we were able to close by the end of April. That is when our renovations began. We anticipated about 2 to 3 months or so for renovation, but we ran into some delays with contractor work completion. We had delays with the city of Holly Hill for permits and things of that nature. So that slowed us down a bit. And then, of course, a shifting market that allowed for the after renovation value to decrease swiftly. And so that allowed us not to be able to put our property on the market till about November. And the property did not sell until 2024 at the beginning of April. So I'll talk a little bit more in a moment about how that impacted everything. And so you can see some of the decisions we made and why. Now, for 2024, we're having this meeting right now. We hope to find and secure another property before the month of April is over, so that we can at least be closing by early May and starting renovations then. We anticipate selecting a project that's not going to be anything more than about 6 weeks of renovation, give or take. A few based on the issues that are presented, but that will allow us to be able to put the property, or complete the renovations and put the property on the market towards the end of June, and then be able to sell hopefully by the beginning of August, and then distribute any profits and start the next round. At that point, we may take on new investors again for the next project, and we'll just repeat the process over as many times as we can through the year end. Now, the goal is really to do at least 2 more before this year is over, and aim for a return on our initial investment, money that we put out from an investor standpoint, to be about 15 to 25%. Now, as we go into 2025, we want to continue to flip homes, of course, so we're aiming more for like 4 of those for 2025, and then exploring opportunities to do rental situations where we can have properties that we flip or renovate and hold versus selling them on the market. So we'll have those conversations 2024 as we anticipate what some of our next steps will be. Now, how much did we make? So the short answer is investors contributed funds, and we had a return of about 15%. So what does that look like in terms of the actual numbers? On the left side of the screen, what you will see is the different groups that our investors fell in just by coincidence. Nothing was planned out except having a minimum investment of 1,000, but that's kind of where everybody felt comfortable for that first round. We were able to have about 12 investors that contributed a total of $45,500. And that is the funds that we use to do our down payment and our closing costs. Now, based on those initial contributions, you'll see the equity interest percentage there, and that's just the share of the profits that everyone is entitled to. On the right side of the screen, what you'll see is the breakdown of the overall numbers. So we spent about 115,000 was the purchase price, but that's broken into two groups. So the amount we actually financed through our hard money lender at a rate of 13% was $80,500. Now, of that 45,500 that we had from our initial investors, we put $34,500 towards our down payment and our initial closing costs to purchase the property. We had initially estimated that all of the repairs would be under $50,000. And so that was like our max, including our contingency. When we got into the home, there was more extensive damage that we anticipated behind the walls. So those of you who are aware of how some renovations work, you can do an initial home inspection with an inspector. However, you really don't know if there are any further issues until you do some demolition and you open up the walls and see what's going on. So we did find some extensive termite damage where we had to redo framing, redo all of our subfloors, and get it ready for, someone to be able to live in the home. We also had to redo all of the electrical wiring throughout the house and replace the electrical panel. So there's a whole new electrical system. There was no central air, so we had to put in heating and cooling, and that was done throughout the home as well as putting on a new roof to the entire property. So some of those things were anticipated that we'd have to address some issues, but the extent of that was much more than we anticipated and caused an overage in the budget of about $26,000. And so that kind of ate away at our potential profits. When we sold the property, we had closing costs of about half of what we had to get into the property. So the selling costs were about $17,434, which left an initial profit of about $7,583. Now, from that, the administration fee to keep in the account to cover, like our business renewal and legal fees and things of that nature, is what that 10% takes care of. And then the remaining amount is the $6,825, which got split between our investors based on their equity interest. So hopefully that makes sense. But these are our actual raw numbers. Like I said, we initially anticipated the after repair value to be much higher, but the market started to drop. So our initial sale price of $299,000 got decreased, and the offer we accepted at the time was $216,000 because we did not want to go into a situation where we were in a declining market and we were not able to recoup the original investment funds as well as make a profit for the investors. So if you have any further questions about that, just let me know, and I'll be sure to answer those questions. So the next thing I want to show you is actually what work was done on the property. So the images that are on the left will be your before pictures. The images on the right, of course, are after renovation. So you can see we had quite an extensive frontal facelift on this property. We again removed all the window units, replaced the roof, pressure washed the home and repainted it, put new doors and windows throughout, as well as address the landscaping, driveway drainage issues, and access to the home with proper steps and walkway that were up to code. Okay. Now, this is a picture of the entrance from the main front door. As you can see, there were drop ceilings, wood paneling everywhere, and not a clear functional opening from one space to the next. So new flooring went in throughout, new drywall throughout the entire property. And then here is the other side of that entry living space, which is our dining area. It opened up the flow. We made sure that it brought full natural light into the property. Here's the kitchen. We did a complete gut of the kitchen, as well as new plumbing in the kitchen area, as well as electrical, all new appliances, and really modernized the home. We moved the peninsula from the left side to the right side, since all of our electrical paneling and pantry area was in that section there on the right hand side of the kitchen. And new cabinetry, again, new flooring and lighting throughout. Now, the bathroom again was a full gut. Everything was replaced, new tub, new tile, new vanity. A closet was created to be able to have linen storage, and again, new flooring throughout the entire property. Here's one of our bedrooms. This is the larger of the two bedrooms for the property, where we closed in a window, created a better closet situation. So now they have a full closet from wall to wall. There's still two windows in the room, but making it a more functional space for the new homeowner. Here is the second of the two bedrooms. Again, there was a very small closet that was not functional, so we reconfigured this room, put the closet on the other side of the wall, made sure that the flooring was good. This is one of the rooms where the termites had eaten out pretty much all of the subfloor, so we had to replace all of that and get everything up to code. This space is your patio area. So again, we refreshed it, painted, new lighting, secured new doors, screened in the patio area, and made it just a really nice space for someone to retreat. So we had a lot of activity. Again, we were able to budget pretty well in regards to some of the other things, but those anticipated electrical as well as the termite damage extensiveness, we couldn't anticipate that, and that is really what cut our profits a little bit short to have us at 15% instead of the anticipated 60%, which we initially thought it would be. Okay, so um, we're not in a setting right now with this recording that I can answer questions and concerns, but some of the ones that popped up from the meeting were, what's the difference between a light or a heavy flip, or, a soft versus a hard flip. Essentially, you look at the purchase price and you see what 30% of that would be. If your renovation costs are going to be under that 30%, that's considered a soft flip or a light flip. If your renovation costs are above that 30%, that is what's considered a hard flip or a heavy flip, and usually take more time to do. Softer flips usually take anywhere from about 2 to 8 weeks. A hard flip usually is 8 weeks or longer. Okay. Another question we had was, what do we use to determine the properties that we choose, and what does that process look like? So what we've done in the past is we use my team of experts to be able to evaluate the properties, compare them to what's on the market. It's called a competitive market analysis, or a CMA. And we do that initially to gather the information on any potential properties that we're thinking of purchasing. We go ahead and put those offers in on the properties so that, we can try to secure something. If we get under contract with the particular property, then it's presented to the group to be able to vote on it using the information provided and make a decision. If there's only one property, we try to get that property under contract, and within our due diligence period, that is when the voting would occur with the group. If there are multiple properties like we did in the past, those multiple properties are presented to the group, and then the individuals vote on their, top 1, 2, and 3 preference if there are 3 properties. So it allows us to be able to not only look at what the current purchase price is, we look at what the potential renovation costs would be, what our carrying costs are, what our closing costs will be when we purchase and when we resell the home, and what we can potentially put it on the market for as the after reno value, or ARV. And we take all of that into consideration in the analysis when presenting that to the group, along with photos, any pertinent information from the sellers and the agents, so that we're fully informed as we decide which property we want to move forward on. Another question from the group was, what if I decide after the fact to be able to increase my initial amount while we're still in a project? So at the beginning of every project, the equity interest or the equity share is set based on the initial contributions and the deadline that we set in place for people to be able to contribute their funds. If anyone would like to add additional funds, um, after that period is over, they may do so, but that equity share that they originally earned would not be the same. It would be at a lower equity share so as not to impact those individuals that were on time with putting their investments in. And so that is something that I can provide more detail on at a later time if you still have questions about it. But essentially, you can contribute more funds while we're in a project, but your equity share for those contributed funds would be less. In addition to that, you can choose at the end of each project when profits are identified to be able to keep those profits in for the next round to increase your overall contribution, or you can choose to have those profits distributed to you for you to use at your leisure. So those are the options that you have. If we're doing multiple projects throughout the year, we will have that opportunity to make that decision at the end of each project once the property has been sold. So I hope that helps to clarify if you had any questions about that. And then the last question that I had was, are we looking at considering any apartment complexes, multifamily properties with, under, 4 to 6 units, things of that nature? And that is also exploring potential tax deeds. Now, we do look at tax deeds for our home search now, but there's a lot more risk involved with tax deeds. And for those of you who are aware of how tax deeds work, it's kind of a hit and miss if you can get your due diligence done in a timely manner before the tax deed auctions. The key is to make sure that any existing liens on the property will be wiped away if you were to make that purchase. So we have not moved forward on any properties in the tax deed sale because of that, but those are also areas that we look at for Hillsborough, Pasco, as well as Polk County. Um, Looking at things outside of the Tampa Bay area, we have not done that as well because of the experience that we had with our first property being in Daytona. The distance was about 2.5 hours, and it presented some major challenges with being able to ensure that the project ended on time and on budget. And so for my comfort level, since I am the one that is serving as the managing member and basically project manager for the group, I am more comfortable with staying in the Tampa Bay area because the market here is very strong and the pool of properties for flips is much better than some of the areas that are around us that may not be as active or as strong in the market. So hopefully that answers all your questions in regards to that. Like I said, if you have any more, please feel free to shoot them to me and I will be happy to share that information with you. Now, this last screen here just has my contact information. If you are sure that you want to participate in the group, go ahead and scan the QR code. It will take you to the informational sheet, which allows you to provide your preferred telephone number as well as email address, and also indicate what amount you're considering contributing. Now, that amount can change, like I said, at a later time. The deadline to do that first contribution is April 17th, which is basically a week from today. If you're looking at this on April 10th. Whenever you look at the video, just know that the deadline for the first contribution so we can set our equity shares is going to be April 17th. Not that you can't contribute after that, but your equity share would not be as high as those that were able to meet that deadline, okay? Like I said, if you have any questions, you have my number, you have my email. Feel free to reach out to me. If it's on social media, do that as well. And any updates that will be coming shortly in regards to our online platform, look out for those so that you can stay abreast of any news and updates that will be coming to you. So I thank you for your time. Feel free to share the link to this presentation with anyone who you feel may be interested in participating in this round, or if they just need extra information and just want to see what we're doing to see if it's something they want to do in the future. I'm open to that. So God bless you. Take care. And I look forward to working with all of you. Bye-bye.